This is Fourth in Fantasy. NFL teams have broken down their 53-man teams, and we're going to break that down tonight. This episode starts now, baby.
Hey, yeah. I don't follow no script. I make my own lane. Got a spreadsheet mind and a red rat brain. Dynasty beats got that tape in my veins. While they drafting by names, I'm exposing their game. No cap. We study the craft like film room rats. Gyms in the fourth while they stuck in the past. It's levels to the dynasty keep or flex. From rookies to pros, we demand and respect. That's real. And I ain't never need clout for my clout to show. Just a mic I take and a team I grow. This ain't just picks, it's principle G. It's fourth in fantasy where you build your legacy. We 10 toes down, yeah, we stand on.
Get your ass up. Get your ass up. Oh my goodness. If you don't love that intro, it gets you every single time. Once again,
so
shout out
hard.
to guy, bro. Shout out to our guy, SC Romero, for putting in such a dope intro. Rocco, what you gonna say about it, man? I feel like that shit goes hard.
Man, that shit gets the fucking party started. Like, that's get me so hype.
It's another night, another day. Welcome to another episode of Fourth and Fantasy. I'm Hancho, and this is my guy.
Siriaco, call me Rocco.
And where we the land of Rocco?
We are a fantasy football podcast for Dynasty Sickos by Dynasty Sickos. Everybody welcome.
And before we get started, remember support, like, share, subscribe. Shoot, post us wherever you can. Thank you for everybody that has tapped into us. We have hit 1,500 subscribers. Thank you to all that first who started off with us to this point. We've literally started almost going on, which feels like yesterday, but literally last October. It's about to be September now, so it's almost getting to that whole 1 year mark. But glad to be here doing this with my right hand dog Rocco, and we're going to keep it going. But this episode is brought to you by Fast Draft, the fastest best ball platform out there, where you can win cash moolah in your pocket. Exactly $250,000 over, actually, where if you use our two promo codes fourth and fourth, they will double your first deposit up to $50. I repeat, using either one of our promo codes, they will double your first deposit up to $50. Rocco, how you feeling tonight, my G?
Oh, man, I feel fucking fantastic, man. Got my Mardi Gras cup, man. We just had our first parade of the season. Man, I'm just so hyped. This time of the year, man, it's just fucking magical.
I love that. And football is right around the corner, too. So that makes it even more magical, if you ask me, Rocco. But let's get down to the nitty gritty. We've had a lot of news this last day or two. Teams have cut down to their 53-man rosters. A couple surprise cuts around the nation, if you ask me. A couple of guys that we feel like if you were on your fantasy team, you're probably crying a little bit. Some guys that were not even a surprise. We saw it coming. Or trades that happened, nevertheless. Guys that were named as starters. But let's get down to one that I would love to talk about because I would like to have my little parade real quick. And you already know where I'm going with this one, Rocco. Spencer Rattler was named starting quarterback for the New Orleans Saints. As I called it, I've been on the Spencer Rattler hill, even when they drafted Tyler Shook second round, which is kind of looking crazy a little bit. But when I was thinking about it the other day, and this was before even Carr decided to retire, but when it went into the thought process of that, they could have potentially waited later to grab a quarterback, right? But let's say Carr did end up getting hurt again. You wanted somebody, and let's say Rattler isn't the guy. At least you took a guy high enough to where you would think he could come in and be at least serviceable compared to a guy who's a seventh rounder or a sixth rounder, right? So if you wanted to see real competition at that quarterback spot, and with Spencer Rattler, you wanted to see him go against somebody like a first or second rounder rather than like a sixth or seventh. But I am so damn happy about this moment, and it makes me even more sick because I dropped Spencer Rattler in one league where our boy Max picked him up for the free dolo. So he got a free QB1 off of waivers. How many people can say that? Shout out to him. And I still believe that he will start a good amount of weeks. Hopefully, they just don't snatch it from him. But as a Saints fan, Rocco, how are you feeling about this news right now?
Um, I thought that Shuck would be a little bit more fun, but I got to give you your flowers on that when you've called that all off season. So I will capitulate on that one. That Spencer Rattler is the week one starter.
Thank you,
Um,
Mikey.
uh, I mean, neither one of them were pretty in the preseason. But I guess Rattler was a little bit better, and I think where he impressed was in the off season, and he's just a little more seasoned than Shuck, which is funny because Shuck is 26 years old
Old
and
as
has
shit.
a shitload of starts in college, but the college ain't the pros. Let me tell you about that. But I don't think I think both of those guys are going to get starts this year. One of my favorite podcasts to listen to about the Saints. Shout out to these guys, the Saints Block Podcast. Um, they kind of shed a little light on this because they had some inside scoops on this, and this is a good thing for the Saints, like going forward. Um, Mickey Loomis, who was in on the pick, Coach Kellen Moore was also in on this pick, but Loomis wanted to push to have Shuck start. Um, so the fact that Rattler's starting shows that Coach Kellen Moore won that battle. So I think that's a good thing because uh, the general manager shouldn't be making those decisions. And
Agreed.
if he did, that would just say that he's just a puppet for the upper general management. So that is a good thing. That's a positive sign for the Saints. And that's a sign that maybe Kellen Moore may last more than a year or two with this team because um, if he can win that battle with Loomis, who's had an iron fist over this franchise ever since Sean Payton left, if he can win that battle, that is a sign of good things to come and a sign that there's a new voice in the building that is respected. So, um, you know, I'll take my lick on that one. I was wrong. I like to see both of them get opportunities, and trust me, if Spencer Rattler is scared to throw the ball in week one, we will be talking about Shuck coming in, and there will be a clamoring for him to get in because you got to see what you have with this guy eventually. Because I think we all understand, we all realize that if this team sucks, which they look like they will, because they are terrible on paper, they got some decent line starters in places, but their backups, third strings are atrocious. They just cut a second round defensive lineman um, at cutdown day, Isaiah Foskey, who was maybe one of the worst players I've ever seen in my life. Couldn't get in on any kind of tackle. Couldn't get in on a sack to save his life, and that just kind of shows you the mismanagement of the Saints' assets. Look at Tyler Shuck. Everybody knows that this team needs to be in on a 2026 quarterback, and they're spending pick 40 on a journeyman college player who's fucking 26 already when they should be looking for a guy in 2026 like a Lenora Sellers. God, please let Arch Manning,
Yeah.
join the 2026 class. There's a few guys that could be a very highly drafted QB1 for the Saints, but No, we did what we did, and we wasted a pick. We wasted a pick on Tyler Shuck when we could have went wide receiver. There was some awesome running backs in that area of the
I
draft.
wanted y'all to
So
go to Shador. That's what I
yeah,
wanted.
we could have. The Saints could have got Shador in any round up
Right,
till the
think about it.
fifth fucking round.
Right, yeah,
Um,
yeah. Y'all could have went
I'm
Shador
just,
later and used that second rounder or somewhere else, like a wide receiver, like a running back.
mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Y'all could went Sean Jack. Well, I mean, maybe another route, right?
Yeah,
Maybe
I'm
not
just kind
Sean
of
Jack.
I'm kind of looking at some of the guys in this part of the draft to see who the Saints could have got. The Saints tight ends are atrocious. They could have picked up a Terrence Ferguson,
They could have.
Will Johnson, a first could have been a first round cornerback who slid into the second
Elijah
round.
Arroyo.
Elijah Arroyo,
Arroyo.
um,
I
Trey
like
fucking Harris. Trey
Trey
Harris
Harris.
would look great in black and gold.
That would
He's
have been a
a
good piece right
receiver,
there.
unlike Jack Beshu, spent a portion of his career at LSU and is a Louisiana kid. Would have looked great in black and gold
Agreed.
and would have brought a different element than the Saints have in their wide receiver room. R.J. Harvey, and I'm just looking at the offensive players. I'm not much of a defensive player. I play IDP, but I don't scout it extensively. But um, just goes to show you, the team spent the 40th pick on what at best or what would be best for the team
Mm,
to be a backup. Like that's just a poor use of resources, and the Saints just do it over and over again. The Saints traded a fourth round pick for a guy that was just picked in the seventh round in Vele, and Vele. I think he can play a little bit, but it's just the waste of resources is why the Saints have no backups, no third string, and they have no quality depth at all, and it's going to kick them in the ass. The Saints need to be all in on the rebuild, but they're just giving away picks, willy nilly, and it's just the mismanagement of resources. I can't say it enough, and it just pisses me off. We got Dennis Allen out the door. We got Derek Carr out the door. Hallelujah. But we still
hallelujah.
have one of those three people that's been bringing the Saints down since the Drew Brees era ended. And he is continuing to fuck the Saints over. So please get him out the door and let's have a new day. But it's a great thing that Kellen Moore won that battle because that may be the sign that a new voice is finally being heard in the Superdome.
Yeah, and shout out to Spencer
Going
Rattler
crazy.
and I mean we did see that you guys signed Trey Palmer or Josh Palmer. I think it was either Josh Trey Palmer. Excuse me.
Josh
Mm,
Palmer plays with the.
mm.
Oh fuck! He just got signed. He was with the Chargers,
I
and now
told
he's with the Bills.
yes, Bills.
Uh,
And y'all got
no,
him
no, no. Trey Palmer is the one that
from the Bucks.
a couple years ago with the Bucks. If he wrote on his Twitter, "I woke up mad as a motherfucker today," he
Yeah,
was gonna have a long touchdown. Like, I mean, it didn't happen last year, but like I think in maybe 2023, like that was like his thing. But he hasn't been posting much. But
but he got a couple of guys.
not a bad wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5, a
Y'all
good
cut
good
y'all cut a
quality
couple of my
player.
guys, dog. If I'm looking at the overall list, well, who we all didn't know, or I knew, like Jake. How do you say his last name? Jake Hayner.
Oh, Zesty Hayner, that dude's
Jake
fucking
Hayner.
terrible.
He got cut. Cam Akers got cut. Clyde Edwards Hilaire got cut.
Akers was my guy, but it's not happening for him
Marcus
anymore.
Jorns, our boy, got cut. Which
I think he's gonna make the
he
practice
gonna make
squad.
the
I think.
practice. Yes, he'll. I think he'll make the practice squad, and then I know he was battling injuries throughout camp, and then he just kind of. It was just a very packed running back group throughout the preseason, so he didn't really get his chance to shine as much. To just like Devin
I
Neal.
wouldn't I wouldn't say that because Devin Neal wasn't there, and the guys we had were old bums that got cut anyway, like Clyde
Man,
Edwards-Helaire,
they
who
were giving
resigned with.
Velus Jones carries over
He's a
Marcus
he's a
Yarn.
He's a special team player.
Okay,
Yeah,
man.
Marcus Yarns couldn't. He was like they would give him like a couple touches in like the second half of the fourth quarter. Like when you're like the last guy, the last running back to get on the field, you're probably not going to make the team.
Yeah.
That's signal right there.
Yeah, he was used more as a in the passing game than I saw him like in the running game wise. Which I is he was a converted wide receiver to a
Hmm.
running back. So I'm glad to see that, and I hope he does make it back to you guys' practice squad because I
Yeah,
still believe in him. I still think he's a player that can be of use as just needs more development. Needs more.
yeah.
He needs,
If he's gonna make it in the league, he's gonna be a specialist, receiving back specialist. I believe unless he gets a little more heft to him.
man, we saw on a couple people's pet cat, Kamani Vidal, get waived by the Chargers. I know we all saw him catch that one pass and then do what he
Well, it
do.
was up when he got that
You know
fucking
what I'm saying?
touchdown. Though we were like, we made it.
People thought they
That
found
was the
another
last.
one, had another jackpot. I'm pretty
Mhm.
sure he gets back on the practice squad, but
I think he
nevertheless,
did. I think he was signed with the practice squad.
I don't. Do you like? How do you feel about Vidal going forward? And I mean, with Amarion Hampton there, Raheem Sanders didn't come back to the Chargers, so I feel like long term wise, that kind of helps him in his project his future role or somewhere he has some type of role in this team going forward, right?
Yeah, I think the problem that he faced and what a lot of running backs are going to face, and we've been talking about this since before the end of last season, is just this incoming class is going to nuke guys you
Yeah,
like
yeah.
if they haven't found a role yet and they're like they're on the cut line or they're on the bubble of making the team, they're probably not going to make the team because there's just so many incoming running backs that it's just a numbers game. I mean, teams are only going to keep what three, maybe four running backs, so
You only
there's
harm
just
too
not
much.
going to be
Yep.
there's not going to be enough spots for guys, and unless you're a special teams ace, they're not going to make room for you. So I like Vidal, but he's probably going to have to be a guy with like a secondary career breakout. He's just going to have to be a guy that kind of hangs around, becomes a vet. I mean, coming into the league, he was an elite pass blocker, so he needs to refine that skill, that role, and be a passing game down back for a team, and hope that
Agreed.
he can build onto that. But I don't know if it's going to happen with the Chargers because he didn't make the team. Um, but those guys on the practice squads, they're one injury away from making a team, and then they're another injury away from getting playing time. So um, he still can just hang around. But yeah, he's probably not worth holding on to if they got some sexy uh, people that's on waivers. So he's probably not worth holding on for most people.
Well, I will feel like he is one of the better pass catching backs in that group, though. Amarion Hampton is I'm not saying he can't catch either, and to take him off the field is going to be hard, right? You almost, for the most part, don't want to get him off the field, and then we still have to see where Najee Harris does and comes back as. But with them moving on from Raheem Sanders as well, hopefully Kamani Vidal shows a little bit of sound, a little bit of razzle dazzle to where I don't like fantasy wise, he's probably not going to give you any type of fantasy relevant type of production for the next 2 years. Or I say a year or 2 years. He would just have to prove that he's a better passing catching running back than like the RB2 or RB3, and then also make it on special teams. It's like kick returning, punt returning, things like that to make sure you get on the field a lot. Now, another guy that hurt our soul to see get waived, but he was brought back to their practice squad. Damian Martinez, Rocco, what's going on, baby? Like, what's
Man,
That was our guy. What's going on?
I don't know. I don't know why. Just I'm not saying I'm an expert film watcher, but just watching him play, like, I mean, he's a big back, he's a power back, and he's got good feet, like he's got good, uh, tackle breaking ability. From what I saw, he rarely went down on first contact, and he has a good forward lean, and he's able to make plays. He's not able to make a play when the line is muddy, and
Yeah,
there's some penetration in the backfield, and I saw him consistently make plays in those situations. So I'm not sure exactly, I'm not sure exactly whose cat he killed, um, but for some reason, just teams don't like him. I mean, he was a seventh round pick, so every team in the league passed on him basically 7 times,
yeah.
and he went to waivers and nobody made a claim, which seemed to be a theme. I don't think any
On a lot
running
of these
back
guys.
got claimed.
Yep.
Not many offensive players got claimed, and that just may be the state of the NFL at this point, where the NFL believes running backs are essentially replaceable. So, they're not wasting waiver claims on running backs. So that was a bit of a shock. I would have liked my Saints you know, um,
That
to
black and
look into
gold.
him. I would have liked the Saints
Mhm.
to look into him because he's a little bit different from the backs that we have. I mean, we got Kendre, who's similar, maybe more
Kudos.
explosive,
Yes.
but like
Yes.
a kind of like a similar,
Mhm.
sized back. But Kendre has injury problems, so at any point we could be without Kendre, and we need more of a thumper, like as a third guy, because Kamara's not necessarily that type or should be used in that role. So I was a little disappointed that we didn't go after Damian Martinez. So he's another guy, just kind of a wait and see what happens, see if he can make it up to the big league team and get some reps. But right now, I see a lot of people dropping him, and
Mhm.
I'm making a pickup based on what I saw on film. I think he's a good back. I think he has a lot of talent, and I think a lot of people that watch tape like him as well. So that kind of makes me wonder what the disconnect is between people with eyes and the NFL. So I don't know if there's like a personal type of thing going on with them, or it's an attitude issue. I don't know. I can't see into that. Only the people that are talking to these players on a one-on-one basis, and kind of people that know what they're doing in their off time. Maybe he's not putting in the work off the
Mhm.
field, but as a talent, I think he's got a lot of talent. I saw a lot of talent when he was at Oregon or Oregon State, as well as Miami. So I'm kind of interested to kind of just put him on taxi squad, let him marinate on taxi squad, and hopefully he gets a call at some point. We could see him in real NFL action.
He's a good guy. I'm still 100% behind the player. I love the film when it comes to being a big guy and having quick feet. I think and yes, he's going to have to develop. Sure, he's still young, so I think that he can become a guy that you want as a lead back and could depend on the guy as him as your lead back. No, and if we looked at it, they kept George Hulaney over him as the RB3 in Seattle.
Surprising.
So it must be that he had a couple long runs in the preseason, and also he plays a little bit of special teams as well. So he must does do it a little bit better than Martinez at this point, or to feel like they could depend on him at this point over Damian Martinez. I picked him up actually off free off of waivers. He's actually right now on sleeper 4% rostered, and that is George Hulaney
My
currently.
bad. I didn't mean to interrupt your flow, but I didn't even look this up. But um, not only does he run a 4.5, which is really good for a 6 foot 217 back, great speed score because of the size and speed combination. But best comparable, Kendre Miller.
Yeah, see, I'm these
I,
things
I I promise you, I did not know that before I said that.
these things don't write themselves, okay?
That's
No,
funny.
another guy, and this one also hurts our soul to talk because we raved about him the previous draft class. I liked the film. A lot of other people that I know liked the film, and just maybe it just didn't click with this particular team. The particular team I'm talking about is the New England Patriots, and I feel like you know what direction I'm going in, Rocco.
Mhm.
Javon Baker, and I believe he makes it back. I have to check. I'm going to check now to see if he made it back to the practice squad, but because they do have to wait 24 hours after their release. So and I believe he got released today, so we'll know by tomorrow. But crazy, right? And he was somebody I wanted to have on my practice squad on every lead that I want. Just how I felt about Jalen Royals. That's kind of how I felt about Javon Baker last year. Just didn't work out. Whether it was maturity, whether it's a was a crowded wide receiver room, whether it was a new regime that didn't draft him, it just seems like it didn't click there with New England. And or if he makes it back to the practice squad, they just liked other guys like Afton Chisholm. Woo woo, our guy. You know how much we talked about him throughout the whole off season. He
Mhm.
made the 53 over Javon Baker.
That's who cost him his spot.
And kind of it hurts to see a guy that we love on make lead the team with a guy that we also love make the team. But speak on that a little bit. Just seeing Javon Baker get released by the Patriots.
I To be honest, I think a lot of it has to do with his personality. I think there's just personality clashes. He famously said last year in training camp that he makes even the handicap stand up. People in wheelchairs
Yeah,
stand up, some shit like that.
yeah.
And then he proceeded to like not do anything all season. So that was kind of interesting, and I know you, me, Max, we're all in on him
Oh,
big time. Our guy Angelo Analysis,
yeah.
he was big time on Javon Baker. I think he had him. I want to say as like a top 8 rookie pick. In a year where we had guys like Glad McConkey,
He was the
Brian
top
Thomas,
sleeper.
Brian Thomas Jr., and all of those awesome quarterbacks who've none of them really have busted yet. So I think it's more of a personality clash. But I mean, you're getting the same story from two different coaching staffs. The one that drafted him and the one that didn't. So um, I think maybe he needs to. I hate to be like the old guy in the room, but maybe he needs to be just kind of humbled a little bit. Maybe this is a little bit of humble pie to where he can kind of go back into the lab, work on himself, work on his craft, and catch on with somebody. I would love for the Saints to pick him up because the Saints need a talent infusion. And there's one thing that I know with Javon Baker. I mean, maybe I'm uh, a little biased, but I think he's got plenty of talent, and he's
Agreed.
got more talent than a lot of guys, outside of Rashid Shaheed and Chris Olave on the Saints. So um, that's a guy that I would like to see the Saints kick the tires on. There's a lot of teams that could use quality depth at wide receiver. Look at the Pittsburgh Steelers. They got DK Metcalf and a couple tight ends, and I don't have confidence in any of their other offensive players. But I think there's a lot of teams that can use a talent infusion. I think at the end of the day, for the Patriots, it just became a numbers game because they got I want to say a lot of mid wide receivers, like, like good enough professional receivers, none that stand out. So they kind of just all just kind of just meld together, and they got so many of them. It just Baker was the odd man out. And when Chisholm made the team, that was probably undrafted guy
The
Efton
nail in the
Chisholm
coffin.
Efton Chisholm undrafted guy. They may have had plans for Baker to make the team, but once Efton Chisholm made the team, that was his spot. Javon Baker's out the door.
He basically earned his way on the team. He literally willed his way on the team. Efton Chisholm is a D2 wide receiver, same college that Cooper Cup came from. And before we continue, remember to share, like, subscribe the video. We absolutely appreciate everybody who supports us and that taps in with us, that watch every single episode. We're at damn near is, I believe we're going to be touching episode 70 at this point tomorrow. Absolutely love that for us, man. So thank you for everybody that taps in with us, that enjoys our content. We're going to keep this thing going, baby. Season 2 is about to be dropping again. It's about to be on the way. 2025 season is almost here, and I'm ready to smack all y'all in the goddamn mouth at this point. At this point, I'm tired of just coming up here and doing an episode. I'm ready to put the action. I'm really just ready to put pause on somebody. So at this point, Crispy, I'm talking to you, G, because we're in the league, and I was looking at it today. I'm ready to whoop your ass, boy. But
Oh
nevertheless,
yeah, you playing Crisp?
yeah, not week 1, but he has the top team in the league. I'm number 2, so we're
Hey, we in a few leagues too, and you can't keep letting me win all of the ones we in.
Okay, Rocco, you talking a little shit, baby. Don't let me get up on you, man. Don't let me get up on you, man. But yeah, please like, share, subscribe. We appreciate everybody for that one. And then also, let's talk a little about the other news that broke today. Rasheed Rice has been suspended 6 games, where it could. I honestly feel like it could have been worse. 6 games is a good scenario for a Rasheed Rice owner. I was never the one to be selecting him in the drafts this offseason because I just liked other guys in those particular spots. But if you have still any shares of Rasheed Rice, because I do not, how do you feel about this decision by the NFL to suspend him? And he accepted for 6 games.
I'm gonna be totally honest. I think this was the best case scenario because they were talking crazy in the last couple of weeks. Like,
About 10.
they were talking about 10 games for Rasheed Rice, and that Rasheed Rice was going to fight it, and that this 10 games or whatever it was going to drop in the middle of the season. You know, a 10-game suspension in the middle of the season, that is basically his fantasy football season. If he goes out in week 5 or 6, you're not going to see him for the rest of the season. So to get 6 games, the word I keep coming back to is it's manageable. Like, it's not optimal. Like we would have liked to have known that he was getting 6 games, maybe around when Addison got his suspension. So maybe we could have made a move, made a trade, did something to kind of fill his spot. But with him getting 6 games to start the season, like if I can just tread water, if I can go 3-3, even 2-4, you know, with him out, when he comes back, he's gonna be a heat fucking seeking missile, to basically bring your team to a whole nother level. Like you're getting a wide receiver one essentially in week 7. Maybe there's a ramp up period of a game or two, hopefully a game or two.
Yeah.
But eventually you're going to have a wide receiver one that you didn't have for the first few games. So as long as you don't go, 1-0-6, 1-5 in those games, and you can just tread water, just stay in the race, score decently if you have points tiebreakers, and you get him back into your team, all of a sudden a team that was, middling, all of a sudden has a wide receiver one, and you're coming to kick ass. So I'm kind of glad that it went this way, and we weren't worried or wondering when he was going to get suspended
Yeah, it
into
didn't
the
drag.
season.
Yeah.
Get this shit out the way. We still have a week and a half or so before week 1 kicks off. So you still have time to, make a move here or there, or get a, get you a temporary starter to kind of tread water and to help you win some games while he's out. But yeah, I mean it's best case scenario because this could have get went way south real quick.
Go. And when I'm kind of looking at the overall landscape of everything, and shout out to it, right? Shout out to the overall process, because god damn it, I think around this time when you fall in love with names, you fall in love with certain players where you really want them to win, you really want them to show out. With Rasheed Rice, once again, I was not the one buying him, but you know who I was buying? Jalen Royals, and a lot of them.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
currently, right now, he is a little banged up with a little knee tendonitis. But I feel like during that time he should be good. But if you are a Rasheed Rice owner, I do feel like what a positive is by the time he does come back, that knee will be even stronger. So this gives him
Hmm.
even more time to
Yeah.
rehab. So yes, for that first half, for that first 6 games, does it suck? Yes. I'm actually facing somebody who has Rasheed Rice in one of my money leagues, first week 1, and it gave me a nice little bump. I'm so happy about it.
Yeah.
So if
It,
you're if
it also
you're going to
goes.
get somebody that has them, you're loving it. If you're having them, it's a little inconvenience, but you already knew that when you had them. You just had to prepare. If you didn't prepare for that, it's kind of on your point, on you, because no matter if it was 10, no matter if it was 6, no matter if it was 4, we all knew he was going to get suspended. So you
Mhm.
should have prepared, but you should have been prepared before this actually was laid out today.
Yeah, I mean that's the other side of the coin. Now if you don't have Rasheed, odds are you're going to play that team in the first 6 weeks. So you should you should be trying to you stomp that team because put that team while they're down, while they don't
Yeah.
have possibly their wide receiver one or wide receiver two. So yeah, that's the other side of the coin is that you're going to face teams that are without Rice, and that'll help you out as well on the flip side.
Rocco, you know what I could see happening? I could see teams that don't start off well. Let's say that you do have Rasheed Rice, and like you said, you're just trying to stay above water at this point. Let's say you don't start off high. Let's say you lose. Let's say you get through those first 6 games and you lose about 2 of them motherfuckers. Or let's say you lose about sorry, you only win about 1, or you only win about 2. I could see people start panic selling, not even panic selling, but just trying to send off Rasheed Rice for what they can get for him, because they're like, "Damn, my season kind of over. I can't really. I thought I would be able to sustain some type of relevancy throughout this process,
Mhm.
and I don't think I'll be able to contend. Let me see what I can get from him." Could you see something like that?
I
And
mean,
and are you monitoring those teams to see if you can get Rasheed Rice on that second half? If you're a
um,
championship contender.
it depends. I think there's kind of two situations here. I
Mm,
think if teams start really like just getting stomped every week without Rashi Rice,
mm,
I can see them holding on to Rashi
mm,
because he's young enough, and you're not going to want to sell him at a low point. But I can see those teams, jumping into a rebuild because they're going to throw their chips. They're going to punt the season because they don't think that they can get back into it, and they don't want to just be a mid team going into the playoffs. So I can see teams selling off like some of their older parts and
mm,
becoming a rebuilder, um, or I can see teams that have like stacked teams
mm,
that sell Rasheed Rice to rebuilders for like more of a win now piece or like an established vet, maybe like a Rasheed Rice for a Devontae Adams plus, something along those lines, like maybe a Rasheed Rice plus maybe a second for like a Cortland Sutton, you know,
okay, yeah.
players of that ilk, which I think I don't think is the right play here, to get rid of a Rasheed Rice, because we know what the deal is. We know what he's missing, and we know when he's coming back. We have a definitive timeline. So I think that is kind of selling it a little soon. But I can see those moves. But
Mm.
I don't know if I can see a Rasheed Rice getting traded, out of pocket just because they know he's going to be out. But in those situations, I can see teams, operating outside of their normal game plan, so to speak.
And let's stay on the topic of wide receivers, right? But let's go over to Tennessee real quick for another name that a couple people had on their practice squads. Xavier Restrepo was waived by the Tennessee Titans, but he has signed back to their practice squad, as I kind of would have thought, because he wanted to stay with Cam Ward. That was his guy. He's the one who advocated for the Titans to go get him. But I honestly didn't really. I know he had odds of making the team. For a guy who's only a slot wide receiver, it was going to be a tough hill. It was going to be a tough battle, and I know people will be like, "Yes, he ran a 4.8. It was a hamstring, so as they say, they pulled it." But with with Xavier Restrepo, and
Sorry,
we're
I'm
looking
so just.
at you know that overall team. Shamir Dyke, I believe you also can go with Lockett. You can go with Ridley, a couple other guys too. They released the other old boy from Burke, Trey, Trey,
Bust. Traylon Burke.
yeah, Treylon Burke. They released old boy. So how? I mean, honestly, I've already seen him on. People have already started dropping him in leagues. I'm thinking of going ahead and pick him up and adding him on my practice squads, man.
Absolutely not.
No,
Absolutely. The dude ran a fucking four
he
eight
pulled a
at
hammy,
at
Rocco.
hit
He
at
pulled a
at
hammy.
at his pro day,
Pulled a
which are
hammy.
notoriously fast time because they don't go by the machine time. So if you extrapolate that, what he would have ran at the NFL Combine, and you prorate it based on historical tenths of seconds taken off of a
He pulled a
40 at a
hammy.
pro day. He ran a 4.9. You got offensive guards running faster than him. That is not an NFL player that runs a 4.9. Sorry, he better put the headset on because that's the only way he's staying on an NFL field. Can't hear you. Can't hear you.
You're right. You're right. You can't hear me because I would have my ass muted. But we back. Well, we back, we back, we back, we back. But no, I like me some Xavier Restrepo. I still have to hope because Cam Ward's not gonna let his boy fell out like that. He's not gonna let him go out like that. You know what I'm saying? We still got to
He
see what.
did.
Well, I
He
mean,
got a little. He got a little buddy system going over there, and still didn't make the team. That's
he made the
bad.
53 though. He made the 53. He made the practice squad. That's something. You know what I'm saying?
Practice.
You know what I
That's not
mean?
the game we
He
love.
can be called up. We
Practice.
just got to see what the rest of those other guys do. And shoot, well, another guy that people like, Ayo Manor, he was showing out. So I mean, yeah, it might be a little long shot. And once again,
Man,
Restrepo looks like to be just a
practice.
slot only wide receiver. So he has to be. I think you have to wait till Tyler Lockett is going. You have to wait till shit, maybe Dyke doesn't show you something. You know what I mean? That's a really, for me, looking like the only way he's going to see the field. Speaking of guys who might not see the field, also Ricky White was cut by the Seattle Seahawks, but also signed to their practice squad. I know that was a guy that we fairly talked about
Torrey
throughout the
Horton.
process.
Torrey Horton up.
I liked him, but Torrey Horton up, we up, baby. They also cut Scatlin Jr. MS MVS. They cut him. They cut the boy. They cut the lad, the legendary lad that does a legendary game, the one and only. But I've also,
MVS.
huh? Yeah,
MVS. He
uh,
went. He signed with the 49ers.
Gatlin. Yes, he did. But the 49ers are over here signing. They're signing me at this point. They'll sign you, Rocco. Go ahead and sign out, try out for the San Francisco 49ers.
Hey, maybe I can play for them. I run about as fast as Xavier Restrepo.
You're fucking hilarious. You're no, don't kick my man. He just he's happy to be back with his team, man. Don't do my dog like that. You know, so he's out here riding out. But that's what's some other names that's been that say that we can think of that kind of made a name for themselves. Like if I'm looking at the overall preseason, right? Guys that made them some chicken. Oh, duh. Let's talk about this one. Mr. Brian Robinson got traded. Who's now a San Francisco 49er and who has taken over his job or who we think has taken over his job. Mr. Merritt himself, Ja'Cory Krosky, I feel like Krosky,
Bill
Merritt.
Krosky Merritt.
Yeah, Bill Krosky Merritt. And he looks like to be the RB1. And he showed a little bit of wiggle, ziggle, lang in those preseason games. How do you feel about JCM going forward? Do you believe he's the new RB1 in Washington? And you know what? I'll say that last question to after you give your feedback on, on the player.
I think he's definitely one of the leading candidates to be to be the RB1. It's still a little bit of a murky situation. I think that Austin Eckler is going to have a role. Has a locked in role at least as the
Pass.
passing down back.
Yeah.
So I think that I think people like just like assume that like he died or something because um, nobody's really talking about him in the community. And shout out to oh fuck, the Dynasty Warzone. They kind of jumped into my mentions, and they really like Austin Eckler, and uh, I can't disagree because I kind of interested in Austin Eckler. I'm
Austin
just kind of
Eckler.
holding my Austin Eckler shares. I mean, he's dusty AF, but
Oh,
he's still there. He didn't retire.
fuck him.
He wasn't terrible last year, so he's definitely going to have a role there, and he's probably at the end of the day, if I was to guess, I would say that he is the guy that scores the most fantasy points in Washington by the end of the year. And also, don't sleep on Chris Rodriguez. I think he's another guy that made Brian Robinson expendable because at the end of the year, he was outperforming him. Um, uh, he was the guy that was getting 100 yards against the Falcons in that great comeback. Not necessarily comeback, but that awesome game between the Commandos and the Falcons. He was the guy, toting that rock. So, he's not necessarily a 3 down guy, but he's definitely a guy that can run the ball. So he's another guy that's interesting there. Um, but I would probably be selling Krosky Merritt because that guy is going for like seconds and first right now. So if I get something really cool in my inbox, I'm probably flipping him. So just the trades that I've been seeing going down, I got a lot of Krosky Merritt. I'll hold on to some, but I'm gonna see if I can't flip him into like a Brees Hall or somebody like that.
Honestly, I feel like that's a good move. That is the move right now. If somebody is all in love on JCM at this moment, flip his ass and try to get this. Uh, if unless he balls out during the season, this is right now the sell moment. He balls out again, another sell moment, and Washington's going to give him every. And what if you go back to the video or episode we did with Chev, our hot takes, and you'll see where I said that JCM would end up taking over for Austin Eckler. Who would have known this motherfucker would take over for Brian Robinson? Stop playing with my name. I'm sorry. Stop playing with me. Stop playing with me right now. You feel me? But a name that I also wanted to talk about I spoke about him a little bit in the offseason because I thought potentially he could have a bounce back year. He didn't really do much his rookie year. He ended up tossing the ball at the end zone on maybe his would have been his only touchdown of the fucking year. Fucked it up. Who am I talking about? Malachi fucking Corley. He got waived by the Jets, which I honestly did not see happening. I thought it was a little too soon, but also it's an organization or a team that didn't draft him. And hear this, Rocco, they haven't brought him back on their practice squad yet. Right now, the receivers that they have brought back are Jamal Pritchett, Tyler Johnson, Brandon Smith, Quentin Skinner. That's it.
Yikes.
They didn't bring back their, I believe he was a second rounder, either a second or third round pick last year. Did we see the curtains on the wall for him? Did you think they were going to be cutting Corley this quickly, or were you a fan of Corley?
I was a fan of some of the things he did in college. I think was he the guy that got like one touch last year and fumbled at the goal line and never
See, that's
saw the.
him. That's the
Uh,
guy.
yeah, those kind of plays almost end careers
That's the
unless you're
guy.
like Deshaun Jackson. Just boneheaded plays like that. Like I think that basically his he wasn't like a superstar before that, and when he did that, they were like, yeah, you're never going to see the field again.
He said, "You got to get the fuck up out
Um,
of here."
I but at the other on the other hand, he I mean in college he was a misforced tackle or tackle breaking
That guy,
machine.
yeah, King.
I yeah, Miss Tackle King. How what was
Yeah,
that? Was that his moniker?
yeah, that was
Um,
him.
I think that I think it was kind of silly for the Jets to let him go, considering their wide receiver room and the state it's in right now. I think they could have found some kind of role for him. I mean, I think a smart team or a team maybe that's more well run than the Jets. I think they can find maybe like a Debo type of role for him. You're definitely going to have to manufacture touches for him because I don't think he's the type that's going to go out there and route guys
No,
up and shake
no.
guys off the line and get open downfield unless it's kind of manufactured for him. But I can see him landing on a team that has a good staff that comes up with a good game plan and finding a way to use him. Maybe this is a little bit of a galaxy brain type of take, but I can see maybe the Commanders kicking the tires on him, keeping him out on the East Coast, and being like maybe an understudy to like a Debo Samuel because he can maybe
Ooh.
be like a poor man's Debo Samuel. He has some of those same tackle breaking type of skills, and and Coach Cliff Kingsbury likes to kind of draw up some of those type of plays where he can get guys in space. So, and they're a team that's lacking in wide receiver depth. So that's a team I can see maybe kicking the tires on him. Have we heard that he's going to get re-signed to the practice squad, or he's just kind of floating out there?
I believe I haven't heard any news as of yet, but hopefully, we do hear something about him and that he has get back to the team because I do like him.
Oh. The Browns have signed Malachi Corley, the self-proclaimed Yak King, to the
Oh,
practice
so who
squad.
they over here
So
going for everybody? Isaiah Bond, god damn it! How
I
many
mean,
rounds?
they might need a running back, so they got him on the
How
team.
many? Hey, you know what's funny? I saw a tweet. I saw a tweet where someone was like, just turn him into a running back. Fuck it, and see what it do." Which I wouldn't be
Yeah, when you
upset to
say
see
you're
him
the
either.
Yak King, that doesn't scream to me wide receiver. That screams to me running back.
Yeah, so that's I would like to see. No, we can. We've almost at that hour mark. It has been a fun episode, nevertheless. You know, let's keep this thing rolling. We don't want to go too long, but we also I feel like there's a lot of good news as of late, man. So I'm gonna give you a couple guys. They made some noise throughout the preseason, and you tell me how you feeling about them. Cool. All right, say less. So
Agua.
Agua, you know what I'm saying? So if I'm looking at a few running backs, right, and whether it's injury or just because he played well, Ollie Gordon is looking like the new RB2 in Miami. True or false?
I mean, I know our guy Ben McCown. Shout out to him. He's a PT, and he's one of my go-to guys, along with Jeff Mueller, for any kind of injury news. Anytime I hear anything about anybody injured, I immediately hit him up and get his take on it. Because I was under the impression that a calf injury could lead to an Achilles injury. We just saw that with Halliburton in the NBA Finals. He was nursing the calf injury, and eventually he pulled the Achilles. But Ben doesn't have those same reservations. He said it's a different type of calf injury, so we don't necessarily have to worry about that Achilles. But another thing that gets me nervous, I would say, is guys coming into the season with an injury. And I don't have the stats in front of me, but from all reports, Ollie Gordon was fucking killing it in the
We're doing
preseason.
his thing.
Um, you know, and he was a guy that was the best running back in college in 2023, and then they changed systems. He was banged up, and he didn't have quite the season in 2024. But a guy that's done it in college before and was awesome, like the best back in college football. I mean, if he would have came out in 2023, he was probably a second round pick. And a guy that's been killing it in the preseason, which grain of salt, it's the preseason, but it's better than him, sucking ass out there. Uh,
Agreed.
no Diddy.
No, agreed.
So, and he has opportunity. I mean, whether it's will or will not lead to an Achilles, a calf injury is a problem for Devin A. Chain. And Devin A. Chain is not necessarily a three down running back.
Or a
I
power
don't
guy.
think a power guy. He's not. That's not how he's best deployed. And they even talked about using him on a lot as wide receiver, which they did at points last year. So as far as a guy that could actually enroll, be the RB1 for the Miami Dolphins, yeah, bye. I'm in.
I like it. You know what? I like when you start agreeing with me, Rocco. It's always a
Man,
wonderful.
a lot of smart people I know like Ollie Gordon, and I tend to agree.
Yeah, Ollie Gordon. Once again, he's only like 2 years removed from being the Doe Walker winner.
And he has a three down skill set. He's an excellent pass catcher to
He
go
showed that.
along with his big body frame. I think he's like 6 foot 230, so he's definitely a guy. And like we said with Damian Martinez, he's another guy with really good feet. So those combination of skills lead me to believe in Jalen Wright. Sorry, it's not happening for that
It's
guy.
not.
He's not a starting running back. He's a backup at best, maybe an RB3 for a team. He's not of Ollie Gordon's level, of Ollie Gordon's pedigree, of Ollie Gordon's football acumen. He is not going to hold Ollie Gordon back. So Ollie Gordon, if somebody is not believing, I would buy right now.
And to speaking of a person that we would buy at this very moment, I'm gonna have to eat crow. And we're still going to have to see what he does in the regular season. But so far, he has been making and proving me very much wrong of what we spoke about him. Who am I speaking of? Mr. Isaac Tesla himself. He has shut me up, if you will, because I had to be the biggest Isaac Tesla hater. I didn't see what people liked about him coming out of Arkansas. I personally liked Andrew Armstrong over him. I thought he looked choppy, he looked blocky, he looked very stiff in his route running. Yes, he's athletic, he was tall, he's a specimen of that nature, but I was like, I just don't see it. Man, has he taken advantage of every opportunity possible? He honestly has done his thing, and he has played it so well that the Detroit Lions ended up trading away Tim Patrick, who was looking to go into the season as the wide receiver three. Now Tesla's looking like the new wide receiver three. How you are feeling about Isaac Tesla, Rocco, for the 2025 season, and just long term in general? Do you feel like the Lions can develop him? Do you feel like they are the smart? They made us all look like the dumb ones here.
Um, yeah, I mean, I have some Tesla because basically he was undrafted in most 3 and 4 round drafts. So, I'll take chances on guys that are free outside of Fab budget. And what he is he's super athletic. He's big. Um, and he was drafted by the Lions, who have had a good track record, um, basically in the Dan Campbell era. So, those things had me in on Tesla. Not, I wouldn't say in because it's not like I was drafting him in the second round of rookie drafts,
Mhm.
but it had me intrigued with Tesla. I know you said you didn't like what you saw on film, but um, you know, guys improve, guys get into good situations, and you best believe that the Detroit Lions saw something in him. And what they're giving us is big time signal right now because, coming into the season, we all assume Tim Patrick was pretty good for them last year. He wasn't a world beater, but he was definitely in on the game plan for the Detroit Lions last year. I think he had maybe 500 yards for the Lions as the maybe fourth option for him. So them trading Tim Patrick is a huge, huge signal that Tesla is the wide receiver three for that team. And eventually, I don't think it's a secret that that team is going to come up on some contract situations very soon. They're going to have to pay Aiden Hutchinson. They're going to have to pay some of these guys. Um, and they may decide that they can't afford JMO. So, maybe as soon as
Mhm.
2026, Tesla could be the wide receiver two for an elite offense. So, yeah, I mean, he's looked great in the preseason. I mean, a guy that we didn't really expect anything. His passing all the tests so far and looks to have opportunity in 2025. So, to me, he's a big time sleeper, and I even heard people and maybe it's heresy, and these guys basically never happened, but I hear people talking Puka comparisons.
Hey, listen, when you find a guy, first off, you want to say that he's underrated or that he was a sleeper, but when he goes in the, that early portion of the draft, so first 3 rounds, where I believe Tesla was either a third or fourth rounder, I can't remember. It's been, a few
He
months
was a
since.
third, but I think the Detroit Lions gave up an equivalent of 3/3 to move up to get him.
Oh yeah, they did move up. So that they knew something that I was once again I was being a hater, but I say Tesla proved me wrong so far. Hopefully he can keep doing that. I know I went out and I do have about 2 3 shares just because I like the portfolio. I didn't want to miss out on him, and if he does his thing, bet another guy. And you know what? Let's stay on the wide receivers because I feel like that overall group, there was a lot of guys that showed out for me that I personally wanted to see, and to I'll say he top 5 player that I wanted to see was Troy Franklin. I wanted to see him do something.
Now you
Yeah,
talk.
yes. Now we talking that good shit. Somebody who I loved in the draft 2024 draft. Analytically wise, his profile was beautiful. It was a great, you loved what he was able to do. He was fast. He was taller, slim, but tall wide receiver, route runner, and was able to get out of his, he was able to separate on film. You know, he had a underwhelming rookie year, and what I wanted to see him, and what I thought was a one of the big contributors of that was just because
Mhm.
he was underweight. He, it was easy to push him off his route,
Mhm.
and to get physical with him. He added to his frame. He added muscle this off season, and it looked like he really locked in. And he showed out in the preseason. I believe it was the second week of week two. He had 2 touchdowns, and now I heard today that Marvin Mims was came out of practice a little banged up, a little nicked up, and is going to miss a bit of time. Now that pushes him up even further when they ended up trading away Vele to the Saints. It's up. It's up. It's rockets up. I am so damn happy because I haven't stopped believing in Troy Franklin. I've actually picked him up in a few leagues for a third because people just don't believe. They're out. They're already out, and you can stay that. You can stay out on them. But when you have a quarterback like Bo Nix who absolutely looked good in that week 3 where Sean Payton letting him play, he looked decent. He looked good. I think Bo Nix is set up for a very good year 2 jump. And it's only going to help if they're able to get a better running game. It's going to help in a year or two for Bo Nix to get more settled in the whole scheme of the things. It's up for the Broncos. And then they got better on defense. So they're going to be out there more often, I think, as an offensively wise, because the defense is going to get takeaways. Troy Franklin is up. If you're not buying Troy Franklin right now, you heard it here first from Honcho himself. Go get you Troy Franklin for a cheapo third at this point. That's free money. Free money. But what do you think about Troy Franklin going into 2025 or this season?
Um, I think people forget how good of an offensive coach Sean Payton is. And you can see Sean Payton kind of, building, getting those building blocks for his QB1, Bo Nix, who he's 100% invested in. And people forget that Drew Brees, in the Sean Payton, Drew Brees era, had 7 seasons of 4,800s or more and has the most 5,000 yard seasons ever. So it's not like, even with the good defense that the Broncos have, Sean Payton's the type of guy that likes to run the fucking score up. So even if they're, beating teams' asses, they're still going to be trying to score points. So I think what we saw is just the tip of the iceberg last year for Bo Nix. I think Bo Nix, at points last year, he was outperforming Rookie of the Year and QB stud, the 101 in Dynasty drafts, Jaden Daniels. So Bo Nix is pretty fucking awesome. Like people like I think one guy in the Discord was like, I don't know what y'all see in Bo Nix. I'm like, you are tripping. That dude, I mean,
Agreed.
I can spit out stats, but that dude led a team that was supposed to be rebuilding to the fucking playoffs as a rookie. I mean, you're talking about a guy that can throw for 4,500 yards and run for 400 yards and a handful of rushing scores. There's a world where Bo Nix could very realistically be a top 6 fantasy football quarterback in
Yeah.
2025. And what that means is he's going to have guys that are going to blow up. I like Cortland Sutton. You like Troy Franklin. I like Marvin Mims. Evan Ingram is a guy that's on a lot of people's sleeper list
Yeah.
as a guy that can blow up as a tight end. RJ Harvey. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of guys are going to have a lot of value for the Denver Broncos, and it's good to buy pieces of that offense. Whether your flavor is Troy Franklin, I like Marvin Mims. I'm not saying he's the best route runner, but he's a great deep threat and a guy, that Sean Payton finds ways to get to the ball, get him the ball in open space, and a guy that can take it to the house from
Mhm.
anywhere on the field. So yeah, I'm interested in Troy Franklin. If you dropped Troy Franklin last year, you fucked up because he's on a great ascending offense, and I'm kind of interested to see what he can do in 2025.
And you know what? It wouldn't be right if we didn't end this episode. We talked about him briefly. We spoke his name briefly when we were talking about Javon Baker, but it wouldn't be right ending this episode without really just talking or going deeper into our boy, pause, Afton Chisholm.
how deep how deep are you going into Efton Chisholm?
Hey man, sometimes you just when you're doing this line of work, it doesn't come out right. But nevertheless, our boy
Sometimes.
Our boy Efton Chisholm made the 53 man roster. Rocco, from and I want people to know how hard the path wasn't easy. He literally had to make his way onto that roster, beat out players that Jalen Pope, second rounder, Javon Baker, fourth rounder. Like these are guys that were drafted, and I mean that's I'm on second is a good draft capital. Fourth rounder is not the highest, but it's nothing to slouch over either. He he was an undrafted free agent. He wasn't picked in the draft, and our boy Mike Vrabel saw what we both saw in Efton
Mhm.
Chisholm was him being a dog, and he showed that in the preseason. He might not have a role year one just because of Pop Douglas being on the team, and it looks like Pop Douglas is very much going to have a role in a Josh McDaniels offense. But I am so high on the overall player and the long term view of Efton Chisholm in that offense. When he's going to be with Drake May in the prime years of his development, a year 3, a year 4, a year 5. I can't wait to see what Efton Chisholm does in his year 2, his year 3. That's why I really will think we see Chisholm shine where we all want him to shine. It just depends on what Pop Douglas does. But speak on Efton Chisholm real quick. Just real, how the audience knows how we feel about him at this point. Whether you've seen us talk about him on every episode we did in the off season, tweets, you name it. How you feeling about our boy Chisholm, man?
Um, I think this is pretty awesome that he made the team. That he didn't get kicked to the practice squad. That the team thought enough of him and respected his play, and he showed out in camp. He showed out in games. And he just seems like that he's a hard worker. He's a guy that broke basically all of Cooper Cup's records at Washington State, to kind of speak on the type of player that he is. So um, he's kind of blocked right now. I think, and you can tell me if I'm wrong or not. He feels like he's going to be a slot type of player,
Yeah.
kind of due to his size. And he's kind of blocked right now by a guy that had a really good camp with Demario Davis.
Mhm.
But
Douglas.
I feel Demario Douglas. My bad. Demario Davis plays linebacker for the Saints. Um, Demario Demario Douglas, my bad, my guy. He's kind of blocked by him, but I can see, him kind of working his way onto the field because, he's a guy that can get open in the short and intermediate areas, and the Patriots need more guys like that. But uh, him making the team, I think it's going to help out a Drake May because last year, his receiving options were not very good at all, and now they've added Stephon Diggs, who all reports say is healthy. And they got some returning guys as well. Uh, Keishon Butte,
Okay.
Demario Douglas,
Mhm.
and now to add Chisholm into the mix, you're starting to see a little bit of a room that's at least respectable in regards to where they were last year. So I'm excited to see if we can, see him on the field, see if he can get some PT. Is he going to be the return guy? You think?
He could be. That's where they had him also doing. They had him, returning kicks. And honestly, Pop Douglas can't afford to get hurt. That's how. Because I feel like if he lets Efton Chisholm get any type of good playing time, he might not get his job back. If we're being completely honest, like Efton Chisholm might not let him get back on that foot to where he's too good to be taken off, right?
Mhm.
So Pop, keep your eyes on the swivel, my boy. And I have you in a few of my leagues. I selected you in a few of my leagues. Wherever I feel like for a good portion where I have Pop, that's where I have almost, well, to be fair, I have Efton Chisholm in about 85 to 88% of my leagues. And I'm in over 50. So you do the math on that one. Nevertheless, Efton Chisholm, shout out to you as a prospect, as a player.
Uh,
I already knew in my heart you was gonna make it in the 53-man roster. I just need
and
you to
I
go out there and show the world, baby. Go
and
ahead,
I'll tell
Rocco.
you another reason he made the team is that he's also he's also like we said a minute ago, that he's also been the returner in the preseason, and he's also been the gunner on special teams. So guys that can contribute in multiple roles, that's the reason why they make the team.
Mm.
And, when they make the team, eventually they can work their way into opportunity. So, sky's the limit. It's not like, this team has world beaters all across the board at wide receiver. He's possibly one injury away from being a starter in three wide receiver sets. And I just want to see him keep climbing. I want to see him on the field. I tried to hit him up in the DM to get him on the show. It hasn't happened yet, but a guy that's very responsive on social media. So it's good to see a guy that interacts, with fans and people, like us with smaller platforms. Kind of see some of our guys make teams and make impacts. It's a beautiful thing to see, because you, my friend, have been telling me about Chisholm before it was even the popular thing to talk about.
I try to do my thing. I try to give y'all the good word. I try to still do my due diligence, do my research. And it's always fun to see that come out to the light. You know what I'm saying? And shout out to Efton Chisholm for helping me and just get make me look a little good. But that is our episode for tonight. And you know what, Rocco? I'm gonna let you take us out. I'm gonna let you take us out for the night. Let the audience know what we got going on, man. Let them know what's getting jiggy.
Man, we got an awesome episode. This episode is probably going to drop by the time
Yeah, about it.
uh,
Just about Yo.
it's probably going to drop after our very special guest that's coming on. But we got fantasy nerd boy of the Dynasty Degens coming up onto the show to talk AFC East. If you haven't seen that by the time you see this episode, please give that one a watch, give it a listen, because that's going to be some fiery content with one of the best content providers and creators in this whole entire space. Man, a guy that's very knowledgeable on fantasy football. But as always, we are a fantasy football podcast for Dynasty Sickos by Dynasty Sickos. But all of y'all are welcome.
And your fantasy playbook to more championship wins. We're fourth in fantasy. I'm Honcho, and this is my guy.
Siriaco, call me Rocco.
And we are still in these streets. Fantasy football, the season's right coming up. I'm ready to get me some money. If you're in my league, I'm spanking that ass, coming for that championship spot.
Definitely, man.
Can't wait. What we putting in our bookcases, Rocco? What we putting in our bookcases now? What we trying to put on them shelves, baby? Let them people know. Let them people
This
know.
right here.
Yo,
Right here.
we
Fucking
going for all them.
championship trophies. Championship trophies. I'm keeping this thing here. I'm getting more coming up. I got a guy that still owe me a championship trophy so I can put it up on my bookshelf. So give me my championship trophy. It's time.
Once again,
Fucking win.
thank you to everybody that supports us. Thank you to everybody that chops in with us on Twitter, YouTube, TikTok. Shout out to our in Discord. We have a free Discord. Join the Discord. We're growing. Shout out to everybody that has joined recently. Actually, shout out to our boy Crispy for tapping in with us. Tapping into our boy Max as always. Tapping to the people behind the scenes. Tapping to the people that just tapping to our boy Roach. Tapping to the people that let us use their content. Thank you all. Thank you to the community for making this such a fun experience, for making us for every video that we come out with. It's not, it doesn't even seem like it's work for real, for real. It's just a lot of fun. We come up in here, we like to talk football, we like to talk about fantasy, and we like to just talk shit. And that's it, man. That's fourth in fantasy for real. And I don't know a better way to end the show. But nevertheless, y'all have a wonderful day, night, however you're viewing us. Y'all take care of your mental, take care of your chicken. This is Fourth in Fantasy. I'm Honcho and he's Rocco. We out.